Hello, LinkedIn Live, take two. How inconvenient was it that my mic was not working? I hope you can hear me and see me now as I am doing this for the second time. Um, Gosh, but here we are. Okay. Welcome. Welcome back or welcome in if this is the first time you're catching the open sessions here on LinkedIn Live. My name is Sarah Soul, and I am a high performance recovery and integration specialist. I work with athletes and high performers in helping them access their optimal performance state through my recovery system. Anyway, today I do these open sessions to kind of just explore human potential, things in the performance space, and what helps people actually access their optimal performance state through some conventional, unconventional, just topics that I've come across in my own practice, in my own research, in just general findings in working with my clients to share, what's going on and how we can become better performers and people and humans. So today, for the second time, I'm going to make this a more condensed version, but we are talking about access granted, okay? Achieving better performance through the nervous system and through fascia. Okay, these two things here are so key in accessing optimal performance states. By the way, if you are tuning in right now, confirm you can hear me, please, so we don't have to go back again. This will probably be the last time I do it. I did do a mic check though. Anyway, if you are where my strength and conditioning people at, and my coaches, the trainers, everyone on here who is involved in any type of training, performance training, you will be familiar with these. You will be familiar with nervous system and fascia. But a lot of the times, when we talk about training and accessing optimal performance states, the key word here is access. Okay. When we talk about the nervous system, or just training in general for performance, let's say that you are trying to become stronger. You are trying to jump higher. You're trying to run faster, be more coordinated, be better at chaotic movements, whatever it is, it requires another level. So let's just say you continue to do training. You do your strength and conditioning, you do your exercises and your practices, and it is going absolutely amazing. You are, or your team is, an amazing performer already. But there comes a time in every high performer's career where they ask themselves, is there more? I feel like I'm restricted or blocked. I feel like I haven't really reached my potential. And you got to ask yourself why. Okay, this is where we ask ourselves the question, but why haven't I reached my full potential? What can I do? What are the exercises, the tasks, the subconscious repatterning? What is it that I got to do to reach my potential? And you're going to look at things like, most people, okay, do I need to, specifically work on a certain movement again and again? Am I targeting a certain muscle? Is my goal hypertrophy? Is it what is the adaptation here? What is it that I'm working on? Why do I feel blocked? Okay, now let's answer this question. It is because our system, our human system, contains or is comprised of two doorways or access points. Okay. And these access points are one, the fascial network, and two, the nervous system. Okay. So, nervous system and fascia is already worldwidely implemented into athletic training, into uh, different practices, for sure. But in case you were wondering, how do I actually perform a certain task, a certain movement? How do I be somewhere that I've never been before? How do I be someone I've never been before? How do I get access to this? Well, it is through a couple different things. And definitely the nervous system is one of them. In the nervous system, we have our central nervous system, which allows us, this is the one that decides, hey, are we good here? Like, you know what? Last time we did this specific movement, you tore a hamstring, bud. Last time we did this specific movement, you tore your ACL. Like, what's going on? There's no way I'm going to allow you to make that cut again. There's no way. So what happens is there's this neurological bracing and guardedness that happens. And we see this all the time show up in the return to play pilot programs that we're doing here. And a lot of the times it is nervous system. It's how can I create trust again? And it's also comprised of the autonomic. So there's the decision maker, your central nervous system saying, okay, do I allow this? Do I decline it? Do I protect or do I allow? And the autonomic is your state. Are you in a high sympathetic drive? Are you in parasympathetic? Are you able to state shift between the two effortlessly, easily, efficiently? And your somatosensory, which is your proprioception, and your interoception, not wondering, but obviously your proprioception is where you are in space, and your interoception is what's going on inside of me. Okay. And this now creates trust. And we need trust. We need trust for everything that we do, for the people that we associate with, that we build relationships with, trust with the self, trust in our body. But if you are a high performer and you utilize your body a lot, then creating trust is going to be an absolute game changer. Okay, but it's not a passive thing. We're not here passively creating trust. We are intentional about it. We are asking the right questions and creating a communication with our internal self, with our nervous system, to allow us, to give us access to better performance states, to our potential performance state, to our optimal performance capabilities. Okay. So I want, give me 1 second here. So I want you to actually think about that concept for a second. Like, think about your relationships and just the concept of trust. It's huge, right? There's no relationship, friendship, co-working relationship, whatever it is, can exist without the baseline of trust. Okay? So especially after that trust has been broken, then what, right? What happens then? What is the foundation of creating trust in a relationship, for example? Is it the same now with creating trust at a nervous system level? To be somewhere you've never been, to be someone you've never been, to be able to execute a higher jump, faster movement, like things that are really exciting and would make your performance skyrocket, is through the access of the nervous system. And we create trust by doing micro things. Okay. It's evidence based. Trust is evidence based. It's saying, hey, you know what? Okay, we've done this before. It's being able to lessen the threat, the guardedness that comes with unfamiliarity. Nervous system work has actually been, and maybe a lot of my people on here know this, especially if you are doing some type of athletic training, about the Marinovich system. The Marinovich brothers, for example, they made athletes on point. Okay. Their system that they created was different exercises and training, unconventional, but it was widely used in so many different sports. It was widely used in so many different trainings, because what they did was they didn't focus on strength and speed. It was a byproduct of training the nervous system. Okay, so same goes. But the baseline, the underlying truth of training the nervous system is to be able to create trust. Access. Okay. So I'll go into actually what creates trust, but there is 3 things to know right now. And that is that access is permission based. Okay. It is permission based. You have to give your system permission to go to the next level. It's not just whatever happens type of thing. We'll get there. It's not like that. How much faster would you be able to achieve your goal if you just said, you know what, I permit it. I allow this now. It's an intentional, actual declaration act. It's a verbal contract that you create with your body and your energy and your nervous system that says, you know what? Let's rock and roll. Let's fly now. Okay. I give you permission. So again, to define this, when I say access, what I'm talking about here is the degree to which your nervous system allows you to use your strength, your speed, your coordination, your range, your focus, your recovery capacity, all in real time. Okay, so let's talk about the blocks. There are 3 main blockers in not being granted access to your optimal performance state. And what is that? The first one is threat. If the system detects threat, it reduces freedom. Okay. Threat does not have to mean danger. It could mean pain, unpredictability, overload, poor recovery, emotional pressure, even unfamiliarity, prior bad experience. Threat response goes up. Your spidey senses are activated and you're like, no, access denied, right? The next one is signal. I even had a whole open session about clear signal, but the signals in which you give your brain are of high importance to creating access. Okay. If the brain is getting unclear information from the body, it conserves. It goes into a conservative mode, right? Again, bringing in proprioception, interoception. And if those signals are noisy, your output gets limited. Clear signal. And I say this all the time because it's one of the fastest, most natural ways to create a clear signal is through the breath. If you breathe in a certain way that obviously activates your sympathetic nervous system, or in a way like if you can master your breathing to be able to create instant micro signals to the brain, to your nervous system to say, okay, I'm ready to go, or okay, you know what, I'm super, super safe right now. I can do this. I can handle it. It's all okay. I got this. We got this, That is the fastest way to create a signal from your body to your brain to be able to access a certain movement. Just breathe into it. Breathe properly. And the last is, obviously, we were talking about this lack of trust, right? So trust is the nervous system's confidence, right? It's going to say you can enter, you can organize, you can exit a demand, and you can do it all safely. You're safe, you're good. This is the bridge now to trauma, to injury, to unfamiliar performance states, is trust. When there is low trust, there is low access. Okay, so this gatekeeper over here, the nervous system, it's always sensing, it's predicting, it's deciding. You know, it's not reactive, it's predicting. So what are we going to do? Like, it's so cool to actually think about how our systems operate in this way, you know, and how we can actually create better communication and better. It is really communication. It is a communicative system, and building that relationship, that on point, that flow, that coherence between you and your nervous system and your fascia, which we're going to get into in a second, can make the world of a difference in accessing state, because it is state. It's state shifting. It's accessing. You got this. So, Okay, so now we talk about the fascia, okay? Because this is huge, and it's honestly a topic that I could speak about for a long time. But because this is my second go and got places to be and things to do, and I love doing these sessions, and I just wish the first time was on point. But technicalities. Let's talk about the fascia. I know you hear about this all the time. You have myofascial release, you have all kinds of things, but the fascia, to talk about it, you know, in a short version, in a short time frame, it's not just this layer of tissue surrounding every muscle, every organ. It is intelligent, and it is what creates access in movement efficiency. Okay. If our fascia, for example, is dehydrated, you may think that, you know what, like if you I see this all the time in my recovery practices when I'm working with people, and they have a specific, like we're doing a certain stretch, right? Or a myofascial release, working on flexibility, mobility, whatever it is, we always look at the fascia first, right? Fascial exercises, and really thinking about, okay, is there actual dehydration going on within the fascial network? Because, or the fascial system? Because I'll give you an example. I have two sponges, right? One sponge, they're both dry. They're both dry. One is super dry. They're both super dry. Okay, one is dry, and I pour water on it. Not a lot of water, but I'm pouring water on it, and it's just kind of trickling down the dry sponge. The sponge represents the fascia, and it's dry and it's stiff. And if you try to do, like, you know, movements with it, the elastic recoil, it's gonna, it is not elastic whatsoever. Okay. I have another sponge, dry as the first one, stiff as the first one. But now when I pour water over it, I manipulate it. I squeeze it. And that act allows the water to become absorbed into the fascia, into the sponge. And when I squeeze the sponge, now that it's wet, what does it do? It goes back into its form. It has a super elastic recoil. Okay? Now it's able to transmit force and organize tension. and give sensory feedback. Okay, we got to think about it in that way. So, this really intelligent network that also holds trauma, that also holds things, does require trust as well. But there's like the trust, the nervous system being the trust, access, and then the fascia being the support that actually makes what it is, their performance, like skyrocket and actually be able to perform that, right? Create that movement efficiency, the elasticity, the potential to happen. They both work together. And when it comes to dehydration, I know that a lot of people think, I know this is widely known right now, but just to reiterate, in case you aren't familiar, is that it's not just about drinking water. Okay, when we're trying to hydrate the fascia, if you drink water and you're just going to the bathroom all day, it's not actually hydrating your fascia. You need something to stick. It needs to be able to stick and create absorption, and that is through salt. Specifically, there's some really good salts out there. Definitely pick a high quality salt, but the nutrients that are available in the salt is what is going to actually allow the amounts of water that you drink to create better hydration within. Therefore, movement efficiency. Therefore, elastic recoil. Okay, so if the fascia, right, the fascia is part of how the body feels itself and organizes movement. If the fascial system is under chronic protective tone, poor load, poor recovery, and repetitive bracing, movement starts to feel dense, sticky, heavy, restricted, disconnected, distinction. Pay attention to fascial health because that is access to your potential performance capability state. So the nervous system decides again, and the fascia helps inform and expresses that decision. So when someone, for example, keeps feeling tight, even after stretching, as mentioned, it's often because the system still believes that tension is needed, and the fascia is reflecting that protective organization. We must create trust. So how do we create trust? What creates trust? Okay, because if access is permission-based, then the real question becomes what creates permission, right? So there's 5 elements to this. There's safety, the number one thing, your body, your mind. I can't reiterate this enough, that you know that your body, your brain, your nervous system is always just trying to keep you safe. Nothing else. It doesn't care about your happiness, your evolution, how much money you got, how high you can jump. Like, it just wants to keep you safe and alive and well. That's all, right? But yes, creating safety. So the system trusts what feels survivable and not overwhelming. So the point here now is to create trust. And we do this through things like safety cues. So again, creating evidence, showing your body, okay, evidence that this is safe. So the first step, I always say, is a declaration. It is literally the act of deciding, does something on an energetic frequency level that your system will be able to feel. But that is not enough. It also has to, you can't just decide and that's it. We have to incorporate the breath, right? Having that steady breathing, whether it's box breathing, whether it's just allowing that sympathetic, parasympathetic dominance to kind of take over, to allow your body to know that, this is safe. And this is when I'm working with like MMA fighters, for example, and we're like in between rounds, we are doing micro recovery in between rounds so that there isn't this huge need for massive recovery after the fight. or after the training, after the sparring session. It is micro recovery in between rounds. And the way that happens just through the breath. The breath is such a signal, a cue, a safety cue. And the next is predictable input, right? So once you do something again and again and again, it becomes predictable. And we've got to be able to create adaptation, right? Because if you're trying to jump higher, become more faster, you got to do this in micro moments. And the more micro, like if you do things in the micro sense, run as fast as you can. Okay, stop, pause, breathe, recover, do it again, do it again. You are training your nervous system to say, hey, okay, this is evidence that we can actually push to this degree right now. Micro to macro, the compound effect. We are all familiar with this. Slower tempo, right? So allowing things to actually be integrated here. And this is where integration really takes a big part, because to be able to integrate, right, it has to be like slowing the tempo to allow your body to absorb. Think of it as an art, right? And just reducing chaos and having clear boundaries. Safety, that was number one. The next part that creates trust is clarity. The system trusts what it can sense. So slower movement, right? Or mixture of both, better proprioception, intentional positioning, awareness of pressure and load, clarity. Control, right? The system trusts what you can organize, which means that owning a specific range. So if you're trying to get better range of something that is through micro training, but also controlling transitions and being able to enter and exit a position well. And of course, repetition, right? What's happening again and again without harm is going to create evidence and trust within the system. That's how you go somewhere you've never been, through like gradual graded exposure, and not by forcing the final form immediately. You cannot go to from 0 to 100, or even 5 to 100, or even 30 to 100. Like you have to gradually get there. But it is powerful stuff. You have to get, when I say gradually, it's not to say that you can obviously run faster and jump higher through whatever training that you're currently doing, but to create access. Now, this is what we're talking about, right? We're creating access to potential performance, our potentiality here in better performance, somewhere we've never been before. I like to call it no man's land. To get to no man's land, we have to create access. You don't get the keys to no man's land, by operating the same way that you've been before, by trusting at the same level that you have before. We must compound, accelerate, adapt. And the last is coherence, right? Mind, body, energy, soul even needs to be saying the same thing. If the mind says go and the body says brace, and the access drops. So energy here is not abstract. Excuse me. It's the felt state of a system. Tension, availability, aliveness, clarity, collapse, charge. So trust is built through safe repetition, clear signal, controlled exposure. So we're building evidence. The system grants access to what it can learn, what it has learned, and what it can handle. So if you want a new level of performance, you need to give the body a new experience of safety. That's the key. And that's how you get access through the nervous system. You create enough safe, organized contact with that next level so that the system can stop treating it like a threat. Okay, so I do have to close this open session a bit early. But if you, I just want to see if there's anything else that I really wanted to speak about. Oh, yeah, an example that I had come across. There was this article about in research that if you vibrate a tendon, right? If you vibrate a tendon and just apply a small mechanical vibration to it, people can actually temporarily produce more force. Okay. And I just wanted to share that because basically what this is saying now is that it tells us something powerful, that the contact, that the communication is now, like, even in that micro moment when that vibration was happening in that micro moment, you created contact with that tendon. That vibration said, okay, we're going to prepare for something right now. And I want you to know that it's okay and that it's going to be safe. That shows us powerfully that contact and communication can actually create more access. Creating trust is so big. And I feel that it's often overlooked in the performance space. Okay. You guys, there's actually a lot more that I wanted to speak about in regards to recovery, and maybe I'll just save that for the next open session. But if you want to actually continue this conversation one-on-one, if you're interested in working with me to create performance recovery plans, if you're in the city of Toronto, we can book a performance reset, which is a very cool system I have to help people reach their optimal performance states. Or if you just want to dive into a simple, in-depth, mind activating conversation about recovery or performance or any of the things I've discussed today, please feel free to DM me, reach out. Thank you so much for joining and tuning in, and I will see you in the next session. Oh, I'm ending the stream. Goodbye.